Look at that. Yep, late night cooking. Decided I could kind of go for like a midnight snack. It's about 4 a.m. almost. So it's about 4 a.m. About to turn 5. Tried sleeping a little bit last night, tonight, but I couldn't. My dad's in the hospital right now because he's dealing with a surgery. I tried recording this once, but I think it turned into more of a rant. So, to try to basically turn this into more of a summarization of what I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about a couple things. So, I first want to talk about my depression, anxiety, and just dealing with and coping with autism and ADHD. So, for years, I've had issues just socializing. See, autism is a thing I've kind of consider a blessing and a curse, because it kind of helps me pay attention to certain things. I pick up on certain things easily. God, these fucking roosters, man. I tried recording several times, and these roosters just won't shut the fuck up. But, like, dealing with autism, a lot of people don't understand how it is. I've tried telling people in the past that I have autism, and they have a hard time understanding it. See, I try to explain it to them, but they're like, but that's more ADHD. But it's like, there's a lot more to it as well. For the longest time, I've had issues with just understanding social cues. I've had issues trying to understand how certain social cues work, how I approach things. I think a lot of the issues I have is kind of intermixed with my ADHD because I get so hyperactive, because I get bursts of energy that at times I get too hyperactive and I'll start like, I'll just start saying shit too, and I'll be like, unstoppable. See, but at the same time, it's like, and I have issues kind of understanding emotions at times. And I think part of that is like because of the way I was raised. In a way, it's like they try to teach. It's not really the way I was raised, more so like the way I grew up, where I grew up, how I grew up, who I was constantly surrounded by. See, what people don't know about, a lot of people don't know this about me, but like, I've dealt with bullying in the past. Since grade 4. And the bullying I dealt with at school contributed to my depression, as well as the situations I dealt with at home. More so like me getting into arguments with my cousins, and this one person just being absolutely just... There's this one woman that stays with us. Let's just call her my aunt. She's not really my aunt, but I'm going to call her my aunt. I've had issues with her in the past. I've had issues with my cousins in the past. And my mom, like, literally tried to deal with all of that. It's just so stressful for her. But at the same time, it was also hard for me, too, because it was so stressful, she ended up basically... I lived in my grandma's house, and when you live there every day and there's got to be a situation, especially with people who just are just rude or just really mean. Someone that will sometimes be nice to you, but then other times, emotionally and just verbally, they don't treat you properly. At one point, they're going to be like, oh, you're like the sweetest person ever. And then for no reason at all, they just flip a gasket and just act so shitty to you. And that hurts a lot. The bullies at my school were no better either. Honestly, I dealt with people who honestly were like... They basically were selective. You know how in high school and middle school they had the jocks, the nerds, and all that other stuff? It was more so the guys who... We didn't really have that, but it was like they were selective of who they, chose to keep in their circle. And 9 times out of 10, I was left out. I had very few friends, honestly, and to be honest, I'm kind of happy I had those small amount of friends, but just the memories of just dealing with that, it was hurtful. See, what am I saying? I still get hurt by a lot of the things that still happen. Because part of that is still going on to this day. And I've been just depressed. I've had social anxiety. A lot of the social anxiety had to deal with, dealing with people that are quick to get mad. That are just quick to just get pissy at you. And I had moments where I just snapped at people and just screamed in their face. Because there was one time I screamed at this one guy's face because he threw a fucking cigarette at me. And I threw it back at him. And he screamed in my fucking face. That was in college, too. I don't think I've been emotionally, I don't think in terms of emotions I'm able to express them properly. Because I've been just told constantly, don't get mad. And if I do get mad, I got punished for it a lot. When I had the right to be. I've had people who threatened me to basically hit me if I got mad. I've had people threaten, just, yell at me if I basically express any sign of anger. And not, it's just, especially when you have to deal with, people who scream at you constantly and they don't give you a chance to speak. Because if you don't give, not even, if you try to speak once while they're speaking, it's oh, you're not listening. I've dealt with that constantly in my life. People who are just too, who try to, that's the thing, too. I've been accused of constantly being, constantly thinking that I'm always right. That I know everything. But no. It's just that these people have so much insecurity that when I try to, chime back with something, they don't let me speak. They don't let me say anything. I don't get my word out. And dealing with that on a consistent basis is just hurtful. I personally don't enjoy that. I don't like people who just censor what you say. I don't give you a chance to say what you want to say. Another issue I have issues just with depression is just, I've had issues trying to basically trying to make friends here. To put it bluntly, for the longest time I've had issues with, when I was in America, I lived in a place, because I had friends that were nice. Yeah, we fought sometimes. I had issues getting along at times. But for the most part, I had nice people around me. I had people that were just understandable. That would be willing to understand your perspective and point of view. Especially when you express your emotions. In Kuwait, I barely had that. I was shunned constantly. I got pinned the blame on things that weren't always my fault. Or I got in trouble simply because I responded to some asshole just trying to stir a situation up. And just, that thing just really bothered me. I constantly had to deal with just teachers that wouldn't listen to you. And that upset me even more. Which in turn obviously upset them even more, because I'm trying to basically get my word out. It's difficult. It was frustrating when I was going through high school and middle school, just dealing with kids like that, and then nobody wants to listen to you. Until later. And especially in a culture like this, when it came to trying to interact with girls, that also became a thing too. And that just annoyed me even more. That's part of the reason I don't like living here, is because of the way the culture is. I got in trouble because I said one wrong thing. And it was this American teacher who was this culture is it's a no-no to do that to girls. And yet, 9 times out of 10, yeah, their father would be upset about it, or the brother would be upset. What's kind of ironic is that these same people that would get mad at you for doing that to their family members would do it to other people, other women. You know, chase after other women, surround them with their car just to get their number, stuff like that. Cheat on their own wives, I've heard, with Filipino maids. That's a big issue here in Kuwait. Not saying that doesn't happen in America, but it does happen here, and nobody talks about it. Hell, I've even gotten shit just because I said I wasn't happy living here in Kuwait. And I've had people, even on Facebook, this one asshole was being malicious and just trying to antagonize me, saying, "Are you retarded? I feel so bad for hitting someone that's retarded that doesn't like their own country." Yeah. There's probably a reason I don't like my own country, because of people like you. Because I've dealt with people like you for the last 14 years. Not to mention, I've been dealing with verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. And that affected me even more. I don't want to go into it, but it's just like that. And dealing with a divorce of your own parents, and then just going through, two different, stepmoms that failed. One was worse than the other, to be honest. That's all I'm gonna say. That just depressed me even more. And then at college, I had to deal with people that were just as hypocritical, because they'll take a look at your social awkwardness. They'll basically yell at you in front of everyone because they think that makes them, right or whatever. They take their anger out on you, or just try to basically be like, "Hey, fuck off, get the fuck out of here. Shut the fuck up, go kill yourself." Shit like that. And 9 times out of 10, these people had either anger issues, or some of them were drama whores themselves. One guy threatened me because I, quote unquote, had an attitude, and he told me the next day when I apologized that he was willing to kick my ass, but he didn't because of the school. He was showing off. Simply because, he wanted to try to impress this girl that didn't even like him back. So I'm used as basically a piñata, a punching bag, constantly. That's how I feel. I've had thoughts of suicide in the past. Just dealing with shit like that. Yeah, at times I would probably say the wrong thing. Maybe at times I would be kind of wrong at times, but it's like, at the same time too, that just fucks with you every time. It just fucks you up even more when you just deal with aggression. That's why at times I constantly just think about living on my own. Leaving Kuwait, living on my own, not dealing with anyone at home. Just wanting to be peaceful. And just by myself. I'm getting a job right now because I just graduated university, thank God, after 6 years too. And that also kind of affected my academics when I was in university. Just my mental state and emotional state just really fucks with me. Dealing with shit at home too that I don't like talking about. It just fucks with me a lot. I'd rather just, at this point, just live on my own when I get enough money and get going. And that's it. I may talk about more stories about my university, my high school later on, in these later vlogs.